This video is brought to you by War Thunder. In a previous video, we discussed whether GTA 5 or Cyberpunk 2077 were safer places to live, and the conclusion we came to was that under no circumstances, for any sane reason, should you go anywhere near Night City. It is the most dangerous city in fiction, featuring gangs equipped with weapons capable of razing an entire nation, a state of living so poor that the trash and waste piles above the buildings you could be living in. You'll be constantly wondering if tomorrow is the day you'll finally bite the bullet. There is absolutely no reason why you should visit Night City, let alone live there. But what if we ignored all that and moved there? What would it be like working and living in the region? How much would it actually cost to live in Night City? Today we're gonna figure that out, but before we dive into the main question, we first have to answer a few smaller questions to make sure we are on the same page. Number 1, what do we need to live in the city? And number 2, what is the value of the local currency? For question 1, we have to decide what is considered a necessary cost to survive in Night City. The pillars, so to speak, of living here. We can immediately put down the basic needs of every human on Earth. Food, water, shelter, all are necessary to not die. The basics aren't the only things we're gonna have to account for though. The cost of transportation if you have to commute for work, regular medical care, taxes, or lifestyle needs as well have to be considered. But the numbers here can fluctuate a lot depending on your current circumstances. If you're living with a partner, for instance, or have a child. Ignore the fact that you'd have to be a madman to move here with a child, and instead put together a template to start from. This V is gonna be our template to work off from. His name is Vic. Vic is an adult man in good health, mostly. He has some skills in the technical field that could offer him decent work, and his lifestyle stays relatively simple, with no partner or child to speak of. Hallucinations of rocker boys do not count for this analysis. Knowing who we're working with helps, but none of that really matters if we don't have money. And before we can make money, we have to ask, what is a Eurodollar?
The ED, or European Currency Unit, is the primary currency used in Europe and North America. Whatever part of Night City you're in right now, it's safe to assume you need Eurodollars to live.
Are you even from this game?
Is it that weird for us to be here when you already have a dead man in your head?
Stick some iron in your mouth and pull the trigger.
Fair point. Eurodollars, or eddies, are gonna be the money we use here in Night City. But how much is an eddy worth? To figure this out, we're gonna try and make a conversion rate between eddies and the current USD. Oh, why is Sean Bean on the screen instead of a Eurodollar symbol? Well, one time I accidentally misspoke when trying to say eddies and said netties instead, which made me think of Game of Thrones' Ned Stark, and I had a hearty chuckle thinking about Sean Bean on a dollar bill. So anytime we talk about eddies, I'm just gonna put a picture of Sean Bean up to represent them. We already know Ned's head is pretty portable anyways. To figure out the conversion rate, I tried to compare the prices of common goods you'd find both in modern day and in Night City. That way we get an estimated conversion rate off of those prices. My first thought was to try the vending machines near the apartments you start the game at. Vending machines are generally pretty cheap no matter where you go in the world and can be a nice baseline to work off from. I checked out this corner of vending machines and found this one offering pre-packaged pies for 5 eddies. Based on some quick Google searches and my own memory, a pie like this would probably cost around $2 to $3 from your average vending machine. We'll make it $2.50 for our topic here. That makes the amount of currency necessary to buy a pie in Night City to be twice the amount you need in the current day, a ratio of $2 to 1 eddy. That seems good, but it's important to check other prices first before we finalize that value. We can check the other vending machine prices too. Drinks are a pretty common thing to buy, and in the US, you can expect a price of $1 to $1.50 for your average soft drink. Whereas a regular can of soda in Night City is, holy shit, 9 eddies? That's 6 times the price of a can of soda. Now, I'm not an economist, or good at math, or smart, but I think even smart people would be just as confused as I am looking at the prices of the items in the game, and there's a few reasons why. A few issues arise trying to compare real money to cyberpunk money. The first is inflation. The value of money had to change between today and 50 years from now, so our modern day dollar is already worth a lot less in the city. But on top of that, cyberpunk exists in an alternate universe that is best described as post-apocalyptic, and that makes money conversations even more complicated. Now we're about to talk about a lot of money here, and it may be quite a lot to take in, so before we start crunching the big numbers, let's talk about something we can do for free. Namely, our sponsor for today's video, War Thunder. the largest, most comprehensive vehicle combat game in the world, featuring 2,500 different vehicles to take control of. From air to land to sea, you'll be able to ride in the weapons of war from 10 major nations across history. Everything from the sounds, the graphics, and the details on the vehicles immerses you in the action. You don't have a health bar, but a full crew, engines, fuel tanks, and weapons that can be blown through at any moment. But with the right armor and the right plans, can always be overcome. The attention to detail is unlike any other, even across the historical battlefields you'll be fighting on. Whether it's the modern-day Middle East, the Maginot Line, or deep in the African canyons, you'll find yourself surrounded by beautiful environments as you wage warfare. And you can join in on the action today with a massive bonus pack available for PC and console players, including the exclusive Vehicle Decorator Eagle of Valor, 100,000 Silver Lions, and 7 days of premium, available from the link in the description. You can play War Thunder for free today on PC, PlayStation, Xbox, and even mobile. And now that we're done with the free stuff, let's talk about the real money. A drink of water is usually pretty easy to find in real life. One of the cheapest drinks out there. Most places will give you a glass for free. Hey, I'm filming here. And for the most part, the filtration across most cities is good enough to give you reliable, safe to drink water. That is not the case in Night City. Here is real water, available for 99 eddies a gallon. I can get a gallon from Walmart for $1. The water in the cyberpunk universe is so contaminated that it's toxic to even be it. Fresh, filtered, clean water is a luxury in this city. Comparing this to modern day water is just not feasible, and that goes for more than just what they drink. The worst problem, however, with comparing the prices isn't the inflation or even the apocalypse. It's video game mechanics. This is the Rayfield Erendite S9 Guinevere, the most expensive car in Cyberpunk 2077. A hypercar of the highest luxury, labeled by the game as being worth more than the GDP of many island nations. Okay, so just from that, we're talking about in the numbers of over $1 billion to beat the likes of the Cayman Islands, Greenland, yes, Greenland is an island, Solomon Islands, and smaller nations. That's a pretty insane price, but we actually get a significant discount in the game thanks to Wakako, who acquired the car through an Argentinian ambassador trying to dump all of his assets before fleeing the country. That means we can buy the car at the highly discounted price of 150,000 eddies. That's literally nothing. Even if we convert at the rate this lady's butt presented us, that only reaches $10 million. A far cry from the billion that the Rayfield is estimated to be worth. In other words, this is like selling a PS5 during the height of COVID for 20 bucks and a pack of gum. Obviously, the Rayfield only costs that much due to game mechanics, not any actual lore reason. An issue that is going to come up a lot in this video. I've spent more than a page and a half of my script trying to find the worth of an eddy and have come up with 0 concrete answers. So at this point, I did what any idiot would do in this scenario and checked if Reddit had the answer instead. And they did! Reddit user Wiggly Otter, great name by the way, made a thread that went through most of the stuff we talked about here and even a few we didn't mention. They also couldn't find the answer for the Rayfield, so we're just gonna ignore that GDP bit and find a relative value of 3.2 USD for 1 eddy. We're gonna round that down to 3 just for easier math. Make sure to thank your local otters for their hard work. Let's say that Vic makes a pretty average salary statistically, right in the median. For the US, that would be about 66,000 USD. Divide that by 3 and we learn that Vic earns roughly 22,000 eddies per year. So now that we know all of that, what can Vic, with these circumstances, afford in Night City? We're gonna start with a place to live in. I feel like any adult under 30 already knows what it's like to live in a world where 90% of the houses are bought up by corporations and rented out at exorbitant prices, so you will feel right at home in the Night City housing market. Maybe we can still get a good rent price though. I'm gonna be very generous to Night City here and assume the rent prices we find include the utilities for the property. Water, electric, gas, etc. It's a big assumption to make, but we don't get clear numbers on what those utility bills would be, so we're just gonna put it together. I'd like to see our fella get a nice property, maybe in the Glen. We have this property available here with a lovely open apartment. Huge windows, massive TV, a small kitchenette, and a spacious bathroom. This would be a very nice place to live and you'd only need 80,000 eddies. It isn't even the most expensive property you can rent here. The apartment at the center of Corpo Plaza dwarfs the Glen apartment with 110,000 eddies. Oh, by the way, that price is per month. We only pay this price once in the game, but that's because Cyberpunk 2077's V goes on a cyber psycho tear throughout the city in the span of a couple weeks. Our Vic, however, plans to live a long and fulfilling life, and at the moment he can't even afford a fourth of that monthly price. We're gonna have to find something cheaper. This Japantown apartment is pretty. It's in a more dangerous part of the city, sure, but hardly the worst area. It's got a decent view, kitchenettes, comfortable vibes. I think this could be a great place to live. Oh, god damn it, 30K? Fine. There's gotta be a cheap property around here somewhere. The last apartment available is on the north side in this little apartment building. It definitely is not a safe area as shown by the 1 gig you do here, but we will take what we can get. You have a bed, a bathroom, no kitchen, an armory because every house in Night City needs an armory, all for the low price of 10,000 eddies. Vic can afford to be at this property for 2 months. That's assuming he gets his yearly salary together in that time too. I'm willing to make some concessions and say that these areas have cheaper properties without giant armories in them, but even with a discount, most of these are far outside the range we could afford. That leaves us with one option to look at, the mega buildings. These places are practically an entire slum crammed together into a giant box, a place where the poorest are dumped to live in. And because of that, we can find probably the cheapest real price for a property in the city. We don't actually have a price for the apartment V lives in at the start of the game, but it's clear from the intro that this was the first property V could afford after moving out of Mama Wells' house. And given that they don't have 20K on hand to pay off the tab with Victor, it's a safe bet to say these apartments are cheaper than the ones we've seen so far. I'm gonna throw a Hail Mary price of 4,000 eddies per month for one apartment in the mega building, which I know is probably not correct, but I'm trying here, man. That means to stay in this property inside the mega buildings, you need an average salary of 48,000 eddies. So we're gonna have to do some serious rethinking. None of the properties available in the game are anywhere near the salary we have here. Your first thought in this moment is probably telling me to stop using the USD comparison and instead find the average salary of a Night City citizen. And that's a fair point, but you'll quickly realize that the USD option is the far more favorable one. In the book No Coincidence, a heist story set in the world of 2077, we learn that the job of a welder can earn 30 eddies per day working. That's about 3.75 eddies per hour if they worked 8 hours that day, which they probably worked more. Assuming they work, say, 6 days a week, they make about 720 eddies per month, or a little over 8,500 eddies per year. The in-game prices just aren't feasible even for the lowest rung of the city. I know the homeless situation in Night City is bad, but this would make nearly everything in the city impossible to live in. Corporations are greedy, but they still need a barn to put their cows in to milk them dry. I think we have another Rayfield scenario here, gameplay crashing with realistic pricing. And to make this discussion even feasible, we gotta change it. There's nothing that inherently places the rent price of these apartments at per month. So instead, we're gonna interpret these prices as the yearly cost of staying at these properties. This makes the Glen apartment far more realistic at about 6,700 eddies per month, and the high-end properties like Corpo Plaza, around 9,200. This connects well with the Corpo V life path in the game too, as you're considered incredibly wealthy for having a little over 100K sitting in your bank account in the opening. Still, far beyond the price range of our Vic here, but this makes the low-end properties of Northside and the Mega Building far more feasible. We're gonna change the Mega Building apartment to be at 10K as well, meaning both of these properties charge 820 eddies per month to live in, or account for half of Vic's annual income. In case you're wondering, that would place these apartments at about 2,500 USD per month. And with that, we can finally move on to... Oh, damn it, I forgot about taxes. Yeah, even in a city managed by mega corporations, you still gotta pay government taxes. So now that we have a place to rent, we need to quickly find out the taxes our Vic has to pay. Since taxes aren't exactly detailed in the game, we're gonna use the current US tax rate for an individual making 66,000 USD per year, which is roughly 23.5%. I'm gonna round that up to 25% because I like round numbers. That means that regular Vic, with his 22,000 eddies salary, pays 5,500 eddies in taxes, as well as an additional 10,000 for his apartment rent, leaving Vic with a leftover amount of 6,500 eddies to cover everything else he needs to live for a year in Night City, or roughly 20,000 USD. Now, that sounds like a lot, but let's hold on to our Sean Beans for a minute here and think about what that means. We have water included in our rent, but we're not gonna consider the tap water safe to drink here. And we have to eat food to sustain ourselves. Actually, I don't, I'm a PNG, but you would have to if you lived here. For our yearly grocery expenses, I decided to use the California average as our base. After very thorough research, I learned that the average single person in California spends roughly $100 on groceries per week. $400 per month, $4,800 per year. After converting to eddies, we get a cost of 1,600 eddies per year on groceries.
Man, I got a pretty good haul from the grocery store. I can't wait to use all these ingredients in a home-cooked meal. Oh, nuts.
Okay, we have to change the cost a little bit because obviously we're not in modern day California. And specifically, we don't have a kitchen. Night City's low-income housing is actually pretty clever in that regard. The apartments in the mega buildings don't have kitchens, and getting individual appliances to work with instead would not only be more of a hassle, but also difficult to manage given the apartment layout. But every apartment has a vending machine installed that you can buy whatever you need from. Food, water, women, men, guns, you really have the whole variety. Everything about the design is meant to encourage you to eat out, to consume from the vending machines, takeout, and restaurants instead of cooking yourself. That makes the average price you are going to spend on meals each day skyrocket, as we've already seen from the 9 Eddy vending machine soda, which is also the cheapest drink option. Energy drinks are 17 Eddies. It also means that you can't save as much money on leftovers because this place isn't even equipped with a fridge. That's more money per meal with less value coming out of each meal prepared. We're gonna do our best here to save as much money as possible, but it isn't looking pretty. Vic is going to avoid vending machine food as much as he can, mainly buying from local stalls and restaurants, which offer cheaper prices. Vic's diet is going to consist of lots of matapong decaf, fake beef, and hot dogs. This is a good moment to point out that there is practically no real meat in the entire city. Almost all animal life in the region is wiped out, and all of the meat we eat here is synthetic instead. So they have to do stuff like locust pizza to replace your usual toppings. Oh, and all avian life in Night City actually went extinct thanks to the Avian Extermination Act of 2063, which ruled all birds within an 18-mile radius of Night City to be killed on sight. That was thanks to a disease spreading at the time through them. I guess we're not getting chicken either. Hey, is there a laser dot on my head? I don't have an exact statistic I can work with, but to account for all of this, I'm gonna say that this results in a 50% increase in total expenses for food, and even that's being pretty generous to Night City. That leaves us with a total of 2,400 Eddies per year on food and groceries. And now we have 4,100 Eddies left, or 12,300 USD. With all of our needed to not die needs met, this amount is enough to live somewhat comfortably on. But we're not done yet. Vic needs to keep working if he's gonna be making rent, so that means he's gotta commute to work each day. Now we gotta calculate how much his commute cost him in an average year. Now we could go the car route, but something says that purchasing a car in a mega corporatized world wouldn't be a great idea. Car manufacturers today are already jamming as many subscriptions as possible in cars. I don't even wanna imagine how many there would be in Cyberpunk. Beats. Time to go home.
Your free trial on acceleration has expired.
What?
To accelerate, please confirm your subscription to a premium driving plan, including acceleration, braking, 12-hour battery capacity, opening windows, air conditioning, and glove box. Radio, GPS, and speedometer not included.
Maybe a cheap, less software-dependent vehicle wouldn't be too bad for Vic, but I think for our purposes, we're gonna have him commute on public transport, namely the N-Cart line. I talked about the maglev rail system Night City has in my last video, but I didn't actually give it that much credit. The rail line in the city is actually really good. It has consistent trains arriving at each station every 5 minutes, as shown by the monitors on the screen. And getting on and off of them is as simple as using your N-Cart pass. We're gonna make a scenario where Vic has to travel from his apartment in Mega Building H10 to the Shito Imports building where he works in the Glen. He can do this by entering the N-Cart terminal right next to the Mega Building and getting on the yellow line towards Pacifica. Vic then gets off the yellow line at Alexander Street and changes to the red line towards Mega Building H7. We then get off at Congress and MLK and take a short walk to Shito Imports. That's 2 metro fares to get on the 2 lines, spending a total of about 10 to 15 minutes on the commute. We'll use the LA Metro fare here as a reference, which is roughly $2. This is a bit biased, but I have a hard time believing that the N-Cart fare would be anything less than an Eddy. I mean, just listen to this.
How can you make a passenger buy 2 tickets just because she weighs more? Because to them, we're not passengers. We're Eddy signs.
We'll say instead of a 3-to-1 difference, it's a 1-to-1 this time, so 2 Eddies per fare. That's 8 Eddies per day on Vic's work commute. Let's say 5 times a week, coming to a total of 40 Eddies per week on metro fares, 160 Eddies per month, and 1,920 a year. We'll round that down. After accounting for the commute, we are left with 2,200 Eddies. Okay, things are starting to get a little dicey, but I think we have everything we need now to live in the city. We have food, shelter, a safe commute, and our tribute to the corporate overlords. There's definitely nothing else we need in Night City. Like, say, a gun. We have all of these things now, but we're in Night City. A cyber psycho could be around any corner about to rip you to shreds. There's gang members robbing innocent folk just down the hallway. We're gonna be killed just by walking to work one day, and if we want to avoid that, we're gonna need some protection. Thankfully, we only need to buy one weapon to keep on hand, because we're very unlikely to survive long enough to get a second one. We'll just head down to Second Amendment and get ourselves a handgun. Okay, well maybe it isn't even worth it. Let's try it inside the range.
You hear me?
Huh. Okay, it works, but there's absolutely zero chance we can afford that. We do need something though. Maybe a cheaper option, like a 3D printed single-use firearm. It's a good thing we have budget arm vending machines just for that. I don't know though, maybe we should test them first. I'm just testing it, it's just a test! That'll be another 100 eddies, but we can now protect ourselves. But how much are we actually going to protect ourselves with just a gun? Even equipped with our unpainted Warhammer figurine, we're unlikely to win against a thug equipped in full cyberware. We probably should have some insurance in place to protect us. Emergency care in Night City is privatized, and in the event of an emergency, you need to be subscribed to their insurance plans to be helped. Most importantly, we want a trauma team plan to save us in the event of a medical emergency. There are 3 trauma team packages: Silver, Gold, and Platinum. Platinum offers a variety of services, but given that our Eddie wallet is already looking a little ghostly, we can assume that Platinum is out of the question. The Silver plan does mean we need to pay for every minute of transport, every bullet shot by trauma team specialist, all fuel spent in the course of a rescue, and any equipment damage sustained during, but that's just a small price to pay for the future. What do we have to pay right now? In the 2045 version of Night City depicted in Cyberpunk Red, the Silver plan was placed at 500 eddies per month. I am once again going to be generous here and say they have not changed that price for 32 years, and that it is still 500 eddies per month. That comes to a total cost per year of 6,000 eddies. Oh, we're in the red. Okay, we're in the red. You know what? It's fine. We can go with the cheaper option. There's other medical services as shown in Cyberpunk Edge Runners. They're not as good, but they maybe will save your life or sell you off to scavs, either or. We can just bring that back up to 2100. We don't need that safety plan. But we may need an anti-malware service instead. See, a majority of the people in Night City have cyberware, and most workplaces actually require certain cyberware to work with them. So if you want to keep your job in the city, you better have that cyberware needed to keep up with it, which requires maintenance, proper care, and protection against netrunners should anyone try to hack into them. I don't have an exact number for how much that would all cost, but given that the basic hand cyberware can be a couple grand alone, I'm expecting the price of it put together isn't too far off from that Trauma Team Silver plan. And we're back in the negatives. Actually, never mind, we don't need cyberware. That still leaves 2,000 eddies for us. We can work with this. Vic can either live without these specific protections in place, most likely dying in a couple weeks, or maybe we can find something else. I didn't mention them earlier, but there are some areas where you can technically have 0 rent in the city. Both Pacifica and Dogtown are considered abandoned parts of the city, and the rundown apartments left behind in these areas are perfectly livable if you're up for a true post-apocalyptic lifestyle. That gives us back 10,000 eddies to work with, meaning we can afford the Silver plan. See, this can work. We just need to be able to commute to, okay, I see the issue with this. Pacifica is completely gang-ridden, so being able to travel through it safely is going to require costly protection. Not to mention Dogtown is completely gated. We're just gonna say that the taxes before are going towards paying off the gangs instead. Oh, and no public transport out here, so we're gonna need a car, which is gonna cost us at least 16 grand for a Mahir Supron FS3, the premier driving experience. And we also have to account for battery charging costs, which we can't do at our house since this abandoned building doesn't have power. So we gotta run our own generator and source our own polluted water to use and find our own food, and we probably still have to pay taxes if we work in the city, and we probably have an even higher chance of being killed here than inside the city, and maybe this is why everyone turns to crime in Night City. Look, I think we need to bring this back to the bigger picture. What is the cost of living in Night City? We figured out enough here to definitively say that you would need to make at least 20,000 eddies per year to live in NC, or 60,000 USD. If you are able to make that much working here, you'd be able to have a home, food, and the tiniest bit of security. But you wouldn't be anywhere near safe. With 0 protections in place, all it would take is being in the wrong place once to end it all. A drive-by, a cyber psycho, an angry corpo, an angry cop, automated weaponry. Really, anything could cause your life to end and become one extra stat on the daily death lottery. That's just how life would always be here in the City of Dreams. And this is the favorable outcome. We had to make a lot of generous assumptions here to even arrive at this number. Most wouldn't be as lucky as Vic to even have all of those eddies. They have to cut corners, starve a few days, rob someone in the night, or take bigger risks to make it by. It makes me wonder, why even bother? I think what made this question so fascinating to me is that despite the overwhelming cost looming over everything you need to live here, people are still living. There's still communities, small businesses, events, and gatherings. Life in a place so destructive. In a way, it makes you want to find out what these random faces in the crowd can find here. How they can simply be. Sure, they're struggling, but here they are, all the same. And if you want to be one of those people finding happiness, no matter how bittersweet, in the crowds of Night City, I can't say I understand you, but I wish you luck on your trip. I've prepared you as best I can. You know the costs of living in Night City. Now you just have to live in it.
As you step forward, the air around you parts into a grand pathway towards a place beyond your view. A chill runs down your spine. You just stepped into the 18-mile perimeter of the Night City limits. A laser sight has clicked onto your location. The Avian Extermination Act of 2063.
Oh, fuck.
You should duck.
Let's go.
Thank you again to War Thunder for supporting the channel. You can check out War Thunder from my sign-up link below and receive the exclusive bonus pack and join in on the fun. War Thunder is available on PC, Xbox, PlayStation, and mobile. Let me know what fun map details you find in the game while you're there.